Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. And apparently, I have a book haul. The majority of these came from my library's bookshop. There's a couple of Goodreads wins in here, and there's several I've picked up on Amazon over the last 4 odd months. So let's do the Goodreads wins first. This is a dissection of a murder by Joe Murray. This sounds so intriguing. This is a legal thriller. Husband is the prosecutor, wife is the defense attorney. I need to know. This is book 3 of the Miss Merriweather series, I believe. And this is Pride Comes Before the Fall by Virginia Heath. I've not read anything by this author. I have not read the first 2 books in the series. Obviously, they're not available on Kindle Unlimited, and I cannot read book 3 without reading book 1 and 2. So, I love the cover. I will read you the back of this one. In the 3rd installment of this witty Regency rom-com series, a headstrong chaperone is torn between following her rigid principles or her heart. Despite his many responsibilities, there is nothing Leopold Sloane, the 11th Duke of Debden, takes more seriously than the safety of those he loves. When one of his sisters is injured at a protest rally, he drags his family to Bath for the summer to keep his reckless and rebellious siblings out of harm's way. The only flaw in his plan is his overwhelming but inexplicable attraction to the new chaperone he has hired to watch out for them. An outspoken conundrum of women who soon causes him more trouble than both his sisters combined, but who calls to his soul regardless. From the moment Portia Kendall read her first revolutionary pamphlet beneath her bed covers at Miss Prentice School for Girls, she realized that her true calling was to make the world a fairer place for the masses downtrodden by the aristocracy. A calling that led her to Equitas, a radical newspaper that championed reform. But as Portia discovers, the writing doesn't pay the bills. To make a living, she must push aside her principles and serve the very people she criticizes weekly in her column. A temporary position as a chaperone in the home of a pompous duke seems the perfect way to earn enough to follow her heart. Unfortunately, the duke who hires her seems to be more dashing than pompous, and soon begins to call to her heart too, as much as she tries to deny it. But dare she risk her principles for love, or will her pride come before a fall? I'm definitely intrigued. So, those are the Goodreads wins. Okay, let's do the omnibuses first. Both of these are library finds. This is the Josephine B. trilogy by Sandra Goland. I've never read this author. I've never heard of this trilogy. However, I'm incredibly intrigued. It is rare to find French fiction or fiction that takes place in France, and the books were published in 1998, 2000. I love how there's multiple publication dates. The first one is 1995, and the last one is 2005. There's like 5 publication dates for 3 books. So I know nothing about this book. I'll read you the brief summary on the back. Susan Goland's irresistible epic draws the readers into the passionate relationship between Josephine and Napoleon Bonaparte. Comprising 3 acclaimed bestsellers, this ambitious omnibus edition traces Josephine's transformation from an impressionable young girl to the Empress of France and one of the most sophisticated, powerful women in history. Yeah, definitely intrigued. Okay, and the last omnibus edition, depending on when this came out, this won't be a surprise, or it will be. This is The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Believe it or not, I have never read any of these. I tried as a child. Fantasy and young me were not friends, so I've never read them. We will see if I ever get to them. But I now at least have the omnibus sitting there with everything tucked away. Okay. By the way, I'm going to put timestamps in so you can skip to the sections that interest you. I'm not doing them by genre with one exception, and that is Catholic, and they're all nonfiction, by the way. So I have somehow picked up in the last 4 months 2 devotionals. This one was for Lent, didn't get to it. This is The Return of the Prodigal Son by Henry J. Newman. This was also part of the Hollow read-along for Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, which is coming up here. I didn't finish Dostoevsky. I'll talk about that here in a second. And then the second devotional is The Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence. I believe this is the next Catholic classic for Ascension Press podcast. If I am correct, I will leave a link to that in the description box down below. And I will read you what's in this. This edition of Brother Lawrence's spiritual classic includes 26 hand-drawn illustrations, the controversial 6th letter, which is censored by most publishers, apparently, the unabridged conversations recorded by Lawrence's close friend, Lawrence's complete set of spiritual maxims, his biography, first published in French in 1649. Finally, to supplement the original source documents, this edition includes a new timeline of the major events in Brother Lawrence's life. This timeline integrates events mentioned in the conversations, letters, and other documents into a single narrative, brief narrative. And by brief, they mean this entire book is 99 pages. Okay, I don't know if I have talked about this in a previous haul. If I have, excuse me, but this is The 100 Names of Mary, Stories and Prayers by, who's this by? Anthony Schiffello, and it's been on my list for a while. I got a perfectly used copy off of Walmart for a fraction of the price, and I need to start this because May is the perfect month. It is the month of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Perfect timing. Okay, and the last one is not available for sale. I actually bought this after Mass. I need to buy the Diary of St. Faustina to go with it. This was written by my priest. It's his doctoral thesis, and it is, I am begging for forgiveness, divine mercy in conversion of Rudolf Hess, Commandant of Auschwitz. This was his doctoral thesis. I'm very interested. I bought this on Divine Mercy Sunday, which, if you don't know, is the Sunday following Easter on the liturgical calendar. And it is all about how Hess came to conversion with the grace of Mary, right? And the rosary as he was preparing to be executed. And it is signed by my priest. And we find out this month if he is being transferred. So I'm glad we got it. So I will let you know. I'll read you the back. Is it possible in any way to link mercy and the people's extermination? Is there any common denominator for the power of mercy and the crime of being of human being. This common ground is a space between mercy and justice, between loving God and genuine conversion and return to God, between total and unconditional acceptance of the mendacious ideology of NSDAP and the ultimate understanding of the truth about human beings. English is not his first language, by the way. This book attempts to establish a ground for theological dialogue. For example, the attempt to determine the role of God's mercy in the conversion of Rudolf Hess, the commandant of Auschwitz camp. This is also an attempt to understand how God's mercy works in the case of a specific person who, hand in hand with the entire Nazi system, committed one of the greatest crimes, and who, in the last hour of his life, had the strength to return to God and to ask for forgiveness. Where did this strength come from? Was it because of the fear of judgment? Hess's reconciliation and the witnesses of his interrogation deny this. Hess made a sacramental confession, the profession of faith before a representative of the Catholic Church, and received Holy Communion. Thus, this seems to have been a genuine conversion. A skeptic might ask, is it at all possible? I'm very interested. Okay, next up is the Soul classic, although you can consider Narnia a classic. Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. Listening to it got to 155. I then switched to the audio, which was vastly different than the translation I have. Turns out the audio was based on a Victorian translation, and in the process of translation, the translator changed language to, in her opinion, clarify what Dostoevsky was trying to say. The two translations are very different books. I was very confused where the audio version was going compared to the physical version. Needless to say, I'm going back to the physical version because the hubris of a translator to change the language of an author is not something I can, get with. Okay. Next up are the books in a series, and all of the, not all of them. Okay, so this one was a Walmart used find. This is the second book in the Baroque Cycle trilogy by Neal Stephenson. This is Confusion. I love Stevenson's writing. This one is just over 800 pages, and I'm glad it will be waiting for me, and the copy was perfect, and, more than $10 cheaper than the new version. Next two are in a series, and I got them from my library, and I believe they're book 1 and book 4. The first one is The Murder on Black Swan Lane by Andrea Penrose, and book 4 is Murder at Kensington Palace. So I believe these are on Kindle Unlimited. I will read the middle books. I know there's more books than this in the series. I will read them on Kindle Unlimited, but if my library has them in the bookshop, I will just continue to pick them up and fill out the series. Okay, last series book I have picked up recently is book 2 in the Sun Eater series, and that is The Howling Dark by Christopher Ruocchio. This is hard, dark science fiction with faith beginning to weave into the series, and I will read you the back. Hadrian Marlowe is lost. For half a century, he has searched the further suns for the lost planet of Vorgos, hoping to discover a way to contact the elusive alien Celian. He has pursued false lead for years among the barbarian Normans as captain of a band of mercenaries. But Hadrian remains determined to make peace and bring an end to nearly 400 years of war. Desperate to find answers, Hadrian must venture beyond the security of the Solan Empire and among the extrasolarians who dwell between the stars. There he will face not only the aliens he has come to offer peace, but contend with creatures that once were human, with traitors in his midst, and with a meeting that will bring him face to face with the oldest enemy of mankind. If he succeeds, he will usher in a peace unlike any in recorded history. If he fails, the galaxy will burn. This is book 2. I believe there are 9 books in this series, and the series is now complete. I am slowly acquiring them so that once I start, I can just work my way through. Because I know the author is Catholic. I know he has talked about how he started off the first book, which is Empire of Silence. That book is secular, and as the series has continued, faith has appeared in the series as his own faith was renewed. So I am incredibly here for it. Okay, up next is the standalones. First up is a book my non-reader husband purchased when he went on a business trip and then didn't take it. This is Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton. And it is very short for a Michael Crichton book. By the way, I hate these new covers they're putting on Michael Crichton books. They are just bland and tell the reader nothing. I'll read you the back. In AD 922, the refined Arab courtier Ahmed bin Fadlan accompanies a party of Viking warriors back to their home. He is appalled by their customs, the wanton sexuality of their women, their seemingly disregard for cleanliness, and their cold-blooded sacrifices. Yet, he follows this clan, led by the fierce chieftain Beowulf, to the frozen terrain of the barbaric north, where the day's length is no match for the night's. In this forbidding landscape, Ibn Fadlan will learn the truth of what his inscrutable hosts have planned for him as he begins to witness the terrors that plague them. Vicious monsters of the mist who emerge under the cover of night, seeking human flesh. Dave has apparently already read this at some point in his life and wanted to reread it. I've never read it, so we shall see. It does not actually sound like one of the books I would be drawn to, but it is 180 pages. No reason not to give it a try, right? Okay. And then this was a used copy that either I misread the specifications of the book or the seller mislabeled the specifications. This is Cryptonomicon by Neil Stevenson, and books this thick do not work in this size. They fall apart. They're not at all remotely floppy, and I can't stand broken spines. So I also have this on Kindle. I'm just going to donate this one to the library because I cannot read it in this format, and Dave understands that. So that one is being donated right off the bat. Okay, up next is the last section, and those are standalones, and all of these are from my library. And the first up is Along the Infinite Sea by Beatrice Williams. Again, I have never read anything by her. I'm slowly collecting them all because I end up in the library bookshop, and they have these beautiful covers that just kind of scream, read me. So, in the autumn of 1966, Pepper Schuyler's problems are in the class of their own. to find a way to take care of herself and the baby she carries, the result of an affair with a married, legendary politician. She fixes up a beautiful and rare vintage Mercedes and sells it at auction. But the car's new owner, the glamorous Annabelle Domerich, has her own secrets. A Nazi husband, a Jewish lover, a flight from Europe, and a love so profound it transcends decades. As the many threads of Annabelle's life before the Second World War stretch out to entangle Pepper in 1960s America, and the father of Pepper's unborn baby tracks her to a remote town in coastal Georgia, the two women must come together to face down the shadows of their complicated pasts. I am intrigued. Very, very intrigued. Okay. I'm going to save those two for last. And he is an autobiography author for me. This is The River We Remember by William Kent Kruger. Standalone. And it is, I will read you the inside flap. On Memorial Day, 1958, as the people of Jewell, Minnesota gathered to remember and honor the sacrifice of so many sons in the wars of the past, the half-clothed body of wealthy landowner Jimmy Quinn is found floating in the Alabaster River. Investigation of his death falls to Sheriff Brody Dern, a highly decorated war hero who still carries the physical and emotional scars from his military service. Even before Dern has the results of the autopsy, vicious rumors begin to circulate that the killer must be Noah Bluestone, a Native American World War II veteran who has recently returned to Jewell with a Japanese wife. As suspicions and accusations mount, the town teeters on the edge, of more violence. Dern struggles not only to find the truth of Quinn's murder, but also to put to rest the demons from his own past. Oh, yeah, this is moving up on the list. I love me a good murder mystery, and he writes Minnesota so beautifully. Okay. Up next, two John Grisham hardbacks. I've read neither. I need to know. First up would be A Time for Mercy. And this is the third book, I believe, in the Jake Briggins series, Clayton, Mississippi, 1990. Jake Briggins finds himself embroiled in a deeply divisive trial when the court appoints him attorney for Drew Gamble, a timid 16-year-old boy accused of murdering a local deputy. Minnie and Clayton want a swift trial and the death penalty, but Briggins digs in and discovers there is more to the story than meets the eye. Jake's fierce commitment to saving Drew from the gas chamber puts his career, his financial security, and the safety of his family on the line. All I need to know. Every Jake book is amazing. Okay, and the second John Grisham novel is The Reckoning. And October 1946, Clayton, Mississippi. Pete Banning was Clayton, Mississippi's favorite son, a decorated World War II hero, the patriarch of a prominent family, a farmer, a father, a neighbor, and a faithful member of the Methodist Church. Then one cool October morning, he rose early, drove into town, walked into church, and calmly shot and killed his pastor and friend, the Reverend Dexter Bell. As if the murder weren't shocking enough, it was even more baffling that Pete's only statement about it, to the sheriff, to his lawyers, to the judge, to the jury, and to his family was, "I have nothing to say." He was not afraid of death and was willing to take his motive to the grave. Yeah. Tammy needs to know. Okay. That is the book haul so far this year. All lovely stuff. All stuff I'm deeply interested in. Even with one, disappointing used book being delivered to my door. That is okay. It was under $5, so it will go to the library. Anything, Tammy? Apparently I forgot a bunch of books. So we're going to do those first. I'm not going to try to work them into the categories for the first half of the video. I'm just going to give them their own categories and go from there. And by far, this is mostly a library haul. So, despite what looks like an overwhelming volume of books in this book haul video, most of them were purchased used, and the vast majority were purchased from my library. So, all told, if I had to guess, all the books combined, under 100. So, there you go. We're going to save that one for last because it's the most special. Okay. Let's do a Goodreads giveaway first. That would be The Dying Light by Anne Cleeves. This is a Detective Matthew Venn book, and it is the fourth in the series. I do not remember reading any of these. However, I love her writing, and I'm sure my library has them, so I'm not overly concerned. And this is a British police procedural. So, there you go. Okay. Now for the purchases. And all of these are from Walmart. And I did manage to pick up the last book I needed in the Anne of Green Gables series. This is Real Love Ingleside. I can't manage to get all the books to match. They all have the same finish. So, very pleased about that. Okay. The next book, it's one book, but it was so thick they had... I'm an idiot. Scratch that. Okay, so this is the second book in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series. This is A Stone of Farewell. And this is the first book of the conclusion of the trilogy to Green Angel Tower, Part 1. There is a Part 2 for this third novel. They were so thick they had to split them in half, and that's what I thought I bought. Apparently, either I made a mistake or they shipped me the wrong thing. Either way, I needed the third book, so I'm not complaining. And I also ordered from Walmart How to Read a Book, The Classic Guide to Intelligent Reading by Mortimer Adler and Charles Van Doren. This is for Anne's Summer School 2026. I will link her video in the description box down below. And this is going to be a fascinating read. June is going to be a very interesting reading month. So all I can say is stay tuned for that, because I promise it's going to be interesting. Okay. Now, the rest of everything that is over here is all from the library. Oh, take that back. One more. This is Children of God by Mary Doria Russell. This is the second book in the duology. The first book is The Sparrow, which I picked up ages ago. And, well, don't you just love it when they misprint the first couple pages? It's the title page. I really don't care. I don't know if you can see they're shorter and cockeyed, which is fine. I don't care. The text is perfect. That's all I care about. And this is science fiction, Catholic science fiction at that. It's 436 pages. This is a series I'm very, very interested in. So, okay. And note to self, I need to come up with a better process than just mood reading because I keep getting distracted. Okay. Everything to my right is from my library. Okay, first up would be Homer's The Odyssey. This is the Robert Fagles translation. This is the only defacing on the book is right here where some nice student wrote his name across the front of it. Fine with that. It has deckled edges and the rest of the book is perfect. So this too is making an appearance soon and I am looking forward to this. I did read it and the Iliad in high school and loved them both, but given the noise and nonsense surrounding Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, I'm just going to go read the original. I have no interest in seeing the desecration of Western civilization on the big screen, and it's just disgusting. That shouldn't surprise anybody that I feel that way. Okay, now for the rest of the books to my right. These are all from the library. So, this is The Alchemist by Paul Coelho, and it is on my Read My Life challenge. It's one of the suggested books. I don't know anything about this except it is short. This version is 177 pages, and the print is not tiny. And I'll read you the back. It's very brief. The Alchemist is a magical story of Santiago, an Andalusian shepherd boy who travels in search of a worldly treasure. From his home in Spain, he journeys across the markets of Tangiers and across the Egyptian desert to a fateful encounter with the alchemist. The story of treasure Santiago finds along the way teaches us, as only a few stories have done, about the essential wisdom of listening to our hearts, learning to read the omens strewn along life's path, and above all, following our dreams. I've heard good things about this book, but it isn't one that is widely discussed anymore. So I am very interested. This version was published in 1994. It looks like it was released in 1993 in English. So we shall see. This is The Serpent and the Pearl by Kate Quinn. It is the first book in her Borges trilogy. I'm apparently collecting Kate Quinn. Haven't read a single one I've purchased from the library yet. But here you go. This one sounds fascinating. Rome, 1492. The holy city is drenched with the blood and teeming with secrets. A pope lies dying, and the throne of God is left vacant. A prize awarded only to the most virtuous or the most ruthless. The Borgia family begins its legendary rise, chronicled by an innocent girl who finds herself drawn into their dangerous web. Yeah, I need to know. Okay, I have not seen the movie for this, and I have not read the book, but this is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is science fiction, and the year is 2045. Reality is an ugly place. The only time Wad Waits really feels alive is when he's jacked into the Oasis, a vast virtual world where most of humanity spends their days. When an eccentric creator of the Oasis dies, he leaves behind a series of fiendish puzzles based on his obsession with the pop culture of decades past. Whoever is first to solve them will inherit his vast fortune and control of the Oasis itself. Then Wade cracks the first clue. Suddenly, he's beset by rivals who will kill him to take this prize. The race is on, and the only way to survive is to win. Obviously, dystopian science fiction, and I am interested. And even though this book is not super lengthy, hang on, it's 372. The print is tiny, so has my attention. I just picked this one up at the library this weekend, actually, and it sounds fascinating. This is, what is this called? Star of the Sea by Joseph O'Connor. He usually writes Catholic fiction, so I'm interested in this. In the bitter winter of 1847, from an Ireland torn by injustice and natural disaster, the Star of the Sea set sail for New York. On board are hundreds of fleeing refugees. Among them are a maidservant with a devastating secret, bankrupt Lord Meredith and his family, an aspiring novelist, and maker of revolutionary ballads, all braving the Atlantic in search of a new home. All are connected more deeply than they can possibly know. But a camouflage killer is stalking the decks, hungry for vengeance that will bring absolution. The 26-day journey will see many lives end, others begin afresh. In a spellbinding story of tragedy and healing, the further the ship sails towards the promised land, the more her passengers seem moored to the past, which will never let them go. I thought it sounded fascinating, and it is just over 400 pages. And there's illustrations in here. They're not big. They're pen and ink, but I like them very much. Okay. A surprising find at my library. This is Lady of Milkweed Manor by Julie Clausen. General Christian fiction. Not going to read you the back. It's, I'll read you the tagline. Even a proper vicar's daughter can make a mistake. There you go. Okay. I'm surprised, the only book by this author my library bookstore had. And I recently read one of hers. Fell in love with it. Now I need to read everything. This is Earth's the Right Place for Love by Elizabeth Berg. And I will read you the tag. Two young people learn about love. Learn about love, life, loss, and second chances in this beautiful novel about the early life of Elizabeth Berg's popular central character in the story of Arthur Truelove. Oh, please be Arthur. No, it is. This is Arthur and Nola's story. My June list is spiraling out of control, but I cannot wait. You have no idea how much I love Arthur. Oh, my stars. Okay. I'm very glad I own that. Okay. Next up, everybody I know has read this and loved it. I have not been able to finish one of her books. This is Becoming Mrs. Lewis by Patty Callahan Henry. And I'm excited. It has deckled edges. It cost me a whole whopping $1. So, interested? And then this one was $1 too. This is The Happy Place by Emily Henry. I haven't read one of her books. I know she's very popular. So, we shall see. Sorry, I'm reading the back. Hang on. Okay, I'm going to read you the back. The names threw me a little bit. Harriet and Wynne have been the perfect couple since they met in college. They go together like salt and pepper, honey and tea, lobster and rolls. Except now, for reasons they're still not discussing, they don't. They broke up 5 months ago and still haven't told their best friends, which is how they find themselves sharing a bedroom at the main cottage that has been their friend group's yearly getaway for the last decade. Their annual respite from the world, where for one vibrant, blissful week they leave behind their daily lives, have copious amounts of cheese, wine, and seafood, and soak up the salty coastal air with the people who understand them the most. Only this year, Harriet and Wynne are lying through their teeth while trying not to notice how desperately they still want each other. Because the cottage is for sale, and this is the last week they'll have together in this place. They can't stand to break their friends' hearts, and so they'll play their parts. Harriet will be the driven surgical resident who never starts a fight, and Wynne will be the laid-back charmer who never lets the cracks show. It's a flawless plan. If you look at it from a great distance and through a pair of sunglasses smeared with If you look at it from a great distance through a pair of sunscreen smeared sunglasses. After years of being in love, how hard can it be to fake it for 1 week in front of those who know you best? Okay. This might be a wee bit spicy, but I'm curious. It was $1. I'm not going to, stress over it. So there you go. Okay. The next 3 are all related. I believe they are in order. These are all part of the Lady Emily mystery series by Tasha Alexander. Let me see if these are in order. Of course they're not in order. Why would I put them in order? Okay, I have the order. This is not the first book. This is the 4th book. Yep, 4th book. This is Tears of a Pearl. And then we have Dangerous to Know, which I believe is the 5th book. And a couple of books later in this series is A Terrible Beauty. They all have lovely covers. They all are very well written. And, oh, there's one more. And this is Death in the Floating City. So I have 4 of the series. I have the first one on Kindle. I am picking these up as they show up in my library bookshop. And I'm very thankful to whoever is leaving them with me or at the library bookshop. Okay, next up is a fairly new release, and it is a chunky child at over 700 pages. I've never read this author. I don't know anything about this book, except everybody's been talking about it. And it published in 2023, I believe. Yep. And that is A Covenant of Water. Can we talk about hardbacks brand new in 2023 being $32? Glad I paid $1. Spanning the years 1900 to 1977, Covenant of Water is set in Kerala on India's Malabar coast and follows 3 generations of a family that suffers a peculiar affliction. In every generation, at least one person dies by drowning. And in Kerala, water is everywhere. Okay. It's probably not in rotation anytime soon, but interested. Okay, these are the last 2. This is Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. This is my 2nd book on my shelf by him from the bookstore, and I need to know. It is set in the 15th century. In the 15th century, an orphan named Anna lives inside the formidable walls of Constantinople. She learns to read, and in this ancient city, famous for its libraries, she finds what might be the last copy of a centuries-old book. The story of Atheon, who longs to be turned into a bird so that he can fly to a utopian paradise in the sky. Outside the walls of Omir, a village boy, conscripted with his beloved oxen into the army that will lay siege to the city, his path and Anna's will cross. In the present day, a library in Idaho, octogenarian Zeno rehearses children in a play adaptation of Athion's story, preserved against all odds through the centuries. Tucked among the library shelves is a bomb planted by a troubled, idealistic teenager, Seymour. This is another siege. And in the not so distant future, on an interstellar ship, Argos, Constance is alone in a vault, copying on scraps of sacking the story of Atheon told to her by her father. Anna, Omir, Semar, Zeno, and Constance are dreamers and outsiders whose lives are gloriously intertwined. This sounds fascinating. And it's told from multiple points of view. Oh, I'm very interested. Didn't know anything about it. I just picked it up. I mean, it was in perfect condition. Why not? Okay, last book. And I have been very intentionally avoiding this author because I don't trust, the hype about any author. And I recently started watching the miniseries on, I believe it's on Paramount Plus, of A Gentleman in Moscow. And the miniseries is fantastic. So I can only imagine how wonderful the book is. I don't have the book yet. However, my library did have a hardback copy of The Lincoln Highway. This one was $5. I was more than willing to pay $5 for this book. And it sounds fascinating. In June 1954, 18-year-old Emmett Watson is driven home to Nebraska by the warden of the juvenile work farm, where he has just served 15 months for involuntary manslaughter. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. And I have a feeling I'm going to love this book. There's a map in the dead center of it, of America. And the Lincoln Highway is the first road to stretch across the country. So, I'm collecting his books as of last week. Okay, I take it back. There's one more book. The most special book out of all the books in this series, in this video. That is The Arm and the Darkness by Taylor Caldwell. This is a Catholic classic. I did not buy this book. The darling, lovely, sweet as pie Lucy was doing a little free library run, and I saw the book in the little free library, and she didn't pick it up. And I'm like, Lucy! She kindly went back and got it for me and shipped it to me, and I love her for it. I'll read you the back. The Arm and the Darkness is a rich tapestry of the intrigue, loyalty, and treachery that marked one of the most glittering epochs in the history of Europe. Across the pages of this novel march the great men and women of time. Woven into the fabric of this sweeping tale is the tender story of the love between Arsène, a dashing young Huguenot, and the beautiful Catholic peasant girl, Cecile. This novel is teeming with adventure and passion and stamped with the unmistakable aura of authenticity, which has made the stories of Taylor Caldwell world-famous bestsellers. I love everything I've read by her. This is the first time I have seen, albeit through the eyes of my friend, one of her books out in the wild. And this one was published in, I believe, 1973, or reprinted in 73. Let's see. It was published in 1943, and the copyright was renewed in 1971. And it was printed in 1973. Now, the spine is broken, not by me, but back then, books were published only in mass market or hardback. And this is 608 pages, which is more than pressing the luck of any mass market paperback. So I'm going to treat it with care. And if it starts to break down, I will purchase it on Kindle. I love that Lucy sent this to me. I cannot wait to read it and dive in. And a Huguenot and a Catholic love story. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. So, okay. Now that is everything. That is it. I'm done. No more books for Mar or through the first 5 months of the month. I am done. I did forget to pick up Westerns when I was at the library bookshop, unfortunately. So if I go back between now and then, which is possible, maybe probable, I will be picking up some Westerns, but I'm not counting those. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the first and second half of this video. Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.